Welcome back. You are watching MyAirMyles, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about why I've upgraded the lens on my Canon EOS M50 camera, which I use for shooting my YouTube videos, to the Canon EFM 22mm f2 lens. Before we go any further, let's go ahead and unbox the EFM 22mm lens. The background to this video and this upgrade was really when I was editing the video for my Ryzen AMD 1800X upgrade to the 3900X video a few weeks ago. I noticed that one of my green screen shots that I had taken was extremely grainy. Now, the studio that I film in is quite small, the lighting isn't great, and so there was a lot of noise and gain in the video. And I started to think, why have I got all this noise and grain in my video that wasn't there before? And I'd started doing a lot of research into camera settings and lenses and how I could improve that. Now, long story short, it turns out I'm a bit of an idiot, and what I had done, like most people in this country, is I had thought bigger numbers are better, round numbers are better. So I had actually changed the aperture f-stop on my camera from 7 to 10. For some reason, just thinking that round number would give me a better video or a better picture. Well, it doesn't. Every f-stop that you increase on your camera, so the aperture number, halves the amount of light getting onto the sensor. So what I had done by increasing my aperture f-stop from 7 to 10 is I had actually halved the light getting onto the sensor 3 times, which meant that the ISO on the camera had to dramatically increase, the ISO being the artificial gain, which then introduces all that noise and artifacts into your video. I had done that myself. I was just a fool and didn't know what I was talking about. So when I did my research and realised that I needed to get the aperture as low as possible to let the most light in, to give me that low ISO number, everyone's trying to get as close to 100 as possible, I realised that the stock lens that comes with the Canon EOS M50 has the lowest aperture of f3.5. And while that's fine, the ISO there that I was getting in the studio, the lowest I could get it to was around about 450, 500. And I thought, I think I can do better. So I went out and did my research, and everybody was raving about this EFM 22mm lens, pancake lens that you can get for the Canon, saying it's amazing for low light shots and doing the likes of YouTube when you're trying to focus on one person. Now, one of the side effects of having a low aperture f-stop, whilst you get the benefit of having a big aperture hole, so lots of light's getting in onto the sensor, it reduces your depth of field. What you get is this nice bokeh, so you can see that I'm in focus, but pretty much everything around me and behind me is out of focus, slightly blurred, slightly softer than I am. And that's actually quite a nice effect for doing a video like this, where I want you to look at me and not necessarily look at other things. And as you increase the aperture f-stop, as I say, you reduce the amount of light hitting the sensor, but it actually increases the depth of field. So if you wanted to take like a landscape photo, you'd actually want to have, say, an f-stop of 16 instead of f-stop of 2, which I've got set right now in the camera. Next, what I want to do is I want to show you the comparison against the green screen of my natural sunlight is changing on me. So I was at ISO 125, and it's immediately gone to ISO 250. Let's see how that looks in post. Hopefully the clouds will go away and the sun will come back. There we go. ISO's back now down to 125. Perfect. So what I want to start off with in the comparison is I want to show you against the green screen the problems I was having. I'll show you the footage, the raw footage from the 1800X to 3900X upgrade video, and then I'll show you some footage taken with the new lens attached to the camera, but with different f-stops against the green screen. So what you'll see there is that when the higher the f-stop, the less light gets in, the more artificial gain is introduced. So the higher the ISO goes in the camera, because in my camera I shoot at 1080p 60 FPS, and I fix the shutter speed at 1/125, because that's the 180-degree rule to get best video out of a camera. So the one thing that is allowed to be variable on my camera is the ISO. I'm shooting this under natural light, sunlight, so as the clouds come in and out, my ISO will be changing on this camera lens, but that's actually not too bad because it will show you how this camera handles bright light situations and lower light situations compared to how my previous lens, which had the minimum aperture of f3.5, handled it. So regardless of these changing lights and changing ISOs, the noise will be much less on this camera, and you should notice, because I've got it set to f2.0, that it's constantly focused on my face, and you should be getting a sharper, higher quality image throughout the whole video, even if my ISO is changing from what appears to be 125 to about 250, depending on the light coming in from the window here. So, as you can see, the video that I was shooting at f10 on the stock lens that comes with the EOS M50, which is this one. It's the Canon 15 to 45mm and has an f-stop range of 3.5 to 6.3, variable depending on what level of zoom you've got the lens set to. So it's actually quite smart. The more you zoom up, so if you're zoomed out at 15, you get f3.5, and as you progressively zoom in to the 45mm zoom, then the minimum f-stop increases to 6.3 if you're zoomed in on this lens. So again, you're reducing the amount of light coming in as you zoom in on this lens. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little mini reel up showing you some photographs I've taken with this new lens, and I'll be taking you out into some bright sunlight shots, some in the studio shots here with the green screen, and some low light shots with the new lens. One of the things I've noticed when I've been outside with the new 22mm lens f2 is that because the aperture is so wide at f2, I've actually had, when you have it in photo mode and you set it to aperture priority, that it actually flashes the shutter speed at me, because I've had to actually increase the f-stop on this lens to allow the shutter speed to be within range to avoid overexposure of photographs. Now I'll show you some examples of that as well, but that just shows you the difference. I never had that problem with this lens. But yeah, ultimately this kind of upgrade came down to me being a bit of an idiot. And I really am always blown away by the image quality that I get from this lens, and I recommend it to anyone. So I will be sticking with this lens, and because I think that it gives me that sharpness that I want. It helps me separate myself from my background that I wanted, that I see in a lot of other YouTuber videos that I never managed to get on my videos. And it's given me the improvement to the channel that I want. Now on that, what I'm planning to do as the first video of every month, I'm going to do a video about one thing I've done to improve this channel that month. It might be something like I've spent money on a new lens, some kind of upgrade to the lighting or audio or something in the channel. Or it might just be that I've found a way to improve a setting, fix something in post using DaVinci Resolve, or some other way where I've maybe managed to isolate the sound in the room, or whatever. So every month I'm going to try and do one improvement to the channel and to my content, and I will do a video about that and how I have improved, or aimed at least, tried to improve the content quality for you. So this month, this is the first one I'm doing of this, and it's all about the lens upgrade. I hope this video was interesting to you. I hope you have learned something. The key takeaway is that if you are shooting in low light, that you want the aperture f-stop number to be as low as possible, which actually means that the aperture size, the hole in the lens that lets the light in, is actually at its biggest. So small number, big hole, more light hits the lens. It's kind of a little bit backwards, but anyway, as I say, one thing to be careful about that is that if you are taking photographs, especially in bright sunlight, you are going to have to increase that f-stop number to reduce the aperture, because you might not have a fast enough shutter speed to prevent overexposure. But for my shooting needs, which is in low light situations in the studio here, I have found, and I hope you agree, improve the quality of the image on this channel, and will make my editing, especially when doing green screen and filming at night, much easier. So if you found this video useful, or you just liked the comparisons, or you like my content, please do consider subscribing, giving the video a like, give me some feedback down below. How can I improve the channel better next month? And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.